Hello, everyone. I'm Ian McAllister.
And I'm Oliver Kinner, and this is Brainwaves, episode 143, bringing you the best in tabletop gaming news. These are the headlines for the week of the 27th of May, 2024. Cardboard Edison announces winners. Embracer and Asmodee finances. And is Ryan Dancey accountable? All this and more on this episode of Brainwaves.
Hello, everyone. We are putting the cast out a little later than normal because we wanted to bring you this breaking news about the Cardboard Edison Awards. Cardboard Edison is a website full of resources for new and established designers, and every year they hold a set of awards. They give recognition to designs that have not yet made it to publication. It's a veritable who's who of future board game stars. This year's award was won by Crowded Frontier, designed by Miles Wallace. This game sees players traveling west, we presume in America, though it isn't clear, to claim prime real estate that has been offered by the government. From the press release.
Award judges called Crowded Frontier super simple and engaging, featuring a core puzzle that felt agonizing in all the right ways, and a resource collection system that feels like some kind of magic trick. They praised how the game ingeniously blends the placement of workers to gather resources with the strategic deployment of these resources to expand into new territories. It plays with 3 to 5 players in 45 minutes. The designer of Crowded Frontier, Miles Wallace, has been designing games since 2011 and is the president of the ATX Game Designers Club, a flourishing community of passionate game designers and playtesters. Hailing from Austin, Texas, he works for a nonprofit doing community outreach and at home lives with his wife and cat.
There were also 2 runner-up games announced. First was Snowy Peaks by Yuri Moroni and Gabriel Toshi. This is a 2-player game of mountain climbing. Second was Cartonnage, I hope I'm pronouncing that correct, by Loic Lamy. Players use dominoes to construct buildings and then activate them to throw or flick various tokens at opponents' buildings to try and destroy them. The competition saw 339 entries from designers all over the world. Congratulations to the winner and to the runners-up there. They've been out some fierce competition, I'm sure. And the Cardboard Edison Awards is always a really interesting set of awards. Like we say, it's always up-and-coming games that haven't really seen any release yet. Sort of like the Black Book in Hollywood for unfilmed scripts. It's got that kind of vibe to it, and there's been some really interesting games out of there in the last couple of years. This news is just going live today as we release the cast. There was a little bit of embargo on it, which is why we're putting out the cast a little bit later to accommodate it, because otherwise we'd have to wait a couple of weeks to tell you all about it. So hopefully for the next cast, we'll reach out to Cardboard Edison and the winner, and we'll maybe see if we can get an interview like we did last year for Diatoms, which I believe you've reviewed, Oliver.
Yes, I have. Sabrina Silber, wasn't it? I think I've pronounced the name wrong in my review, the audio version of my review. But yeah, as we always say, Cardboard Edison Award is always very interesting. I mean, just look at the entries. I mean, let alone obviously the winner and runners-up, but the amount of different ideas and different types of games. And some of them are, really clever and different to what you've seen in the past as well. I think there's always something exciting amongst them. And yeah, Diatoms from last year. And, I can't wait to see what the game is like this year. Some of these games obviously will go on to being published. Some won't. So there's obviously no guarantee. And as we said, Cardboard Edison Award is all about unpublished games. But given that's so popular, well, we might see some of these games appear in shops, or online these days very soon. So keep an eye out and have a look at the website for sure. And if you are designing yourself, enter it next year.
Yeah, and it's not just. Yeah, it's absolutely not, and it's not just the winner that gets sort of some recognition. Like in the past, some of the runner-up games, some of the games that have just been in the competition have definitely seen publication down the line. So yeah, it's good practice at putting your game in front of people in a particular way and sort of selling that idea to them. So yeah, it's really good for like that practice at pitching to publishers for sure. And Cardboard Edison is one of those sites that I would always recommend to people if they come to me and ask, like, I'm designing a game, what resources are out there to help me do that. Cardboard Edison is a really good starting point. There are lots of good resources on that site, so do go and check that out. We'll obviously put a link to that in the show notes.
Talking about Good practice, or rather, not so good practice. I've got a story from the Embracer Group, the Swedish games investment company that owns Asmodee. They've released financial information for the first quarter of 2024. Net sales of the company decreased 5% to 8,875 million Swedish krona. PC and console games were down 10%, but tabletop game sales were up 1%. The net sales at the tabletop games segment of the company increased 13% to 14,797 million Swedish krona. Now, Asmodee has written down the value of its assets by more than $620 million, US dollars that is, which represents about 20% of the price it was originally bought for by Embracer, which was 2.75 million euros. Asmodee sales were up for the last fiscal year to $1.4 billion. The company would have been profitable if it weren't for the asset write-down. Now, the reason given for the write-down by Embracer were
macroeconomic headwinds and rising interest rates combined with prudent future expectations.
Now, over the course of the last year, Embracer has parted company with close to 4,500 employees. About half of those have lost their jobs, while others belong to companies that have been sold as part of Embracer's streamlining efforts. From the earnings report, it seems that Embracer is putting a lot of emphasis on Star Wars Unlimited, the new CCG from Fantasy Flight Games. Now, of course, it's good to see that Asmodee is still going strong, and as I think we've reported previously, obviously some of the debt that Embracer had has now been passed on to Asmodee, if not all of the debt, and that obviously has put on a lot of pressure onto Asmodee. So clearly here's sort of financial shenanigans going on, money being moved around between companies that own each other. And I guess Embracer probably isn't getting good credit ratings, so interest rates would be high, whereas Asmodee, going strong, probably is seen better in the eyes of lenders. So pass on the debt to them.
Yeah, I guess. And remember last time, folks, we let you know that Embracer are basically splitting into 3 companies. And one of those will be Asmodee, that has been split off and has been saddled with a huge $100 million debt as part of Embracer's restructuring program. Embracer are confident that Asmodee can take that, but whether that is the case or not, and whether they are saddling Asmodee with more issues in order to sell them down the line, remains to be seen.
Now we're talking about a different type of accountability, Iain.
Yes, now just under a year ago, Elizabeth Hargrave, designer of the cultural juggernaut Wingspan, amongst other games, posted a thread on Twitter pointing out the lack of female nominees for the Spiel des Jahres and criticising the pipeline for game production that resisted women designers. Amongst the rather predictable replies to this was Ryan Dancey, CEO of Aldrich Entertainment Group. This company has published one of Elizabeth's designs, Mariposas. In that, he said,
I think there's a significant gap between when someone decides to try and become a game designer and when they produce their first publishable game. Life in that gap consists of a lot of rejection and negative criticism. I wonder if that gap accounts for a good part of the missing female design cohort. Females are socialized in the West to avoid situations where they're subjected to fairly harsh criticism of their abilities and creative ideas. Males are socialized to take the punches and keep moving forward.
The backlash to that was also predictable. Ryan posted this the following day.
Yesterday, I engaged in a discussion about the lack of representation of women as designers in the gaming community. It was not my finest moment. I'm embarrassed and mad at myself for the tone and content of my contribution to that discussion. It doesn't reflect my views, and it certainly doesn't reflect the views of the company I work for. I'm sorry for any harm I've caused and any offense I've given. This topic is extremely important to me, and I want to be part of the solution, not a part of the problem. I've discussed both my poor original message and the aftermath with my leadership team and with the rest of our company, and I want to outline some concrete steps that we'll be taking to do better in this regard. We are going to actively connect with designers from underrepresented demographic groups, especially women, and offer mentorship and development support of their projects, even if AEG is not publishing games of that kind. Some people have suggested various organizations that could benefit from our support. we will proactively reach out to the groups that we have been made aware of and aggressively look at pitches from members of those groups. Our goal has been to publish the very best games. We are going to expand that goal to help and provide more support to the people who we want to be in business with, get to a place where they are being seen and published. Check back with me in a year and hold me accountable. I'll provide updates as we make progress.
So we did that, but to really no avail at the moment. We contacted Aldrich Entertainment Group on the 13th of May through their PR email, reminding them of the incident and Ryan's reply and pledges. Board Game Wire, the tabletop news website, have taken a similar course of action. We've been in touch with them. I reached out on Blue Sky to find out if anyone knew of any progress on these pledges. A couple of designers said they had sent pictures AEG's way but heard nothing back, or being told no and that AEG only accept pitches at certain times. I also reached out to Ryan Dancey directly on Blue Sky, but I don't know how often he checks that particular social media platform and have not heard anything back at this time. We were trying to get replies to this right up until basically recording. Pretty much, we are recording on the 24th of May, 2024. We are slightly under a year from when that was from that post was published. But at the moment, the answer to is Ryan Dancey accountable seems to be no, not really. No. And AG has not got back to us either. So we have absolutely no idea if he has made good on any of these pledges at all, or if it's just one of these things that has been fired into the ether.
And I don't think I've seen any updates from Ryan either, but I think that's the last bit we've quoted here. I'll provide updates as we make progress. Don't know where those updates are being posted.
It's one of these things that's really hard to do because I'm off Twitter now. It's really hard to check on this kind of stuff because it's really hard to look at accounts that are on Twitter. If you're not a Twitter user, it's really annoying. So if you do know different folks, if you have heard anything about AEG's progress on any of these matters, please do let us know. We'd love there to have been progress. We'd love to have done something. But Ryan asked us to hold them accountable, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and I think it'd be great to hear from these organizations that apparently AG we're going to support and help. So if you're one of those organizations, please let us know. If we can, send out some positive news about this story, that'd be amazing. It'd be great to see that this pledge actually takes place. So if we're ignorant about this, please put us right.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do. Hello everyone, this is Iain from the Editing Suite. Just a little addendum to our story on Is Ryan Dancey Accountable? Once we had wrapped recording on the 24th, I realised that we had been contacted by Ryan Dancey during that recording. I checked my emails and we got this back from him through AEG's PR. Hi Iain, when I'm ready to speak more on this topic, I'll do it on X as a follow-up to that original post. Sincerely, Ryan Dancey, COO, Aldrich Entertainment Group. So at the moment, the answer to is Ryan Dancey accountable is still no. But we'll bring you more on that as we get any updates. And now, Oliver, some mythical updates.
Very mythical indeed. On the last episode of Brainwaves, we brought you news that infamous board game publisher Mythic Games were on the hunt for reviewers for Six Siege, their game based on the computer game Rainbow Six Siege. This game has been plagued by late deliveries, missed deliveries, delayed production, and of course, Mythic has asked for contribution from backers in order to deliver the game to them. We're talking about financial contributions here, obviously. We expressed incredulity at Mythic then offering totally free, including postage and packing, review copies to the media, that is, the press and reviewers and the like. After the episode, we decided to dive deeper into Mythic's crowdfunding efforts. Mythic has run multiple campaigns on Kickstarter while having games undelivered. You would think Kickstarter had a policy against this, and they do, sort of. Kickstarter's page entitled, "Can I run more than one campaign at once?" says this.
We do allow experienced creators in good standing to launch and manage a certain number of projects back-to-back, within and depending on the category they have experience in on the site. We consider creators to be experienced once they've completely fulfilled at least 4 projects. A creator is considered to be in good standing when they have demonstrated they can abide by our rules and community guidelines, present their projects honestly and clearly, and fulfill their campaigns to a high standard. This means maintaining regular, open, and honest communication with backers and delivering rewards as promised.
We have reached out to Kickstarter for comment, but are yet to hear back as of the time of recording. We also discovered that some of these games had appeared on GameFound. We reached out to them for comment and heard back as follows.
The projects you mentioned, including Monster Apocalypse, were handled as part of our PMV1 Pledge Manager version 1 system. These projects were not used to raise additional funds, but were rather tools to facilitate the delivery of already funded projects. Our policy, as outlined here, where there's a link to part of their website, applies to first-time creators starting their second project on our platform. This means that new creators must fully deliver their first project on GameFound before launching another. For Mythic Games, we have only hosted one actual campaign, which was thoroughly reviewed and approved by our compliance department following a comprehensive evaluation process. At GameFound, we are committed to protecting our backers. We have implemented several measures to ensure better safety, including comprehensive project reviews, continuous monitoring, and a dedicated compliance team to oversee all campaigns. Our goal is to maintain the highest standards of trust and reliability in the crowdfunding community. We understand the importance of these matters to your audience. We hope this clarifies our position and the steps we are taking to uphold our platform's integrity.
The campaign mentioned in that email is called Rise of the Necromancers, a collaboration with Mythic and Sore Loser Games. We went on to ask GameFound how they felt about the project given the current state of Mythic Games. They replied as follows.
We always aim to bring projects to our platform that will deliver as promised. We have a thorough onboarding process to make sure backers get the best board games through crowdfunding. Our goal is to create a reliable space for both backers and creators, reducing the risk of unsuccessful campaigns. However, despite our best efforts, sometimes things happen that we can't foresee or control. We do everything we can to prevent these situations.
Yeah, so Mythic obviously continues to be in the cast. There's ongoing problems, but it always surprises me that these crowdfunding platforms don't do more to help. I mean, it doesn't really surprise me because obviously if a campaign makes lots of money, I wonder what Kickstarter get. Maybe I'm being cynical here, but just looking at the sort of their policy saying, we make sure there can't be several campaigns running. But if you're experienced, and the definition of experience seemed a bit, well, I don't know, based on the number of projects and what they're experts in, and I don't know.
Yeah, well, they say you have to be in good standing with them for Kickstarter, and then they go on to define what good standing means, and that does not apply to Mythic in any way or form. I've been down this route before with Kickstarter. A few years ago, I sort of messaged them about another campaign that had failed for the cast, and there was a bit of back and forth, and at the point where I pointed out that they were violating their own policies, there was nothing. So Kickstarter don't really care at all. Now, the other people that don't really care are the Board Game Reviewers and Media group on Facebook, because our friend Richard Simpson, who is from We're Not Wizards, does reviews and a great podcast as well, posted on that particular Facebook group about how you would handle this as a reviewer, Mythic asking you whether you should review this game. The amount of hand-wringing and maybe I'll be okay to accept this game when some of the backers still don't have their copies.
Yeah.
It just made me really angry.
Yeah.
And it made me so angry that I wrote a review of Rainbow Six that you can see on the site, which is basically a list of Mythic's failings.
Please read that review in quotes. That's a very good article.
And the problems with Kickstarter and some GameFound stuff. I have not updated it yet with the GameFound replies. I will be doing that in the next day or so to make their position clear, because GameFound actually had some decent replies for me. Kickstarter, although we said we haven't heard anything back, that's because we haven't had anything concrete back. I got a reply, which was basically, we've kicked this up the chain for someone else to answer it, but I haven't heard anything that is an actual reply as yet. So, well, we might have that for the next time on the cast. We might not. I'm going to suspect not.
Yeah, and then here's our regular reminder: crowdfunding platforms, even they're just crowdfunding platforms. They're not shops. There's no guarantees. If you pay for something, doesn't mean you actually pay for something. You just pay to support the project. Whether the project is successful, that's a separate thing. So, if you want to make sure you can get something at the end of the day, a bit more protection, then maybe wait until the Kickstarter is actually over and it's available through retail or the second-hand market. remember, people buy stuff through these crowdfunding platforms and quite quickly then sell them again. So, don't necessarily
All
take
the
the risk.
time.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough about us ranting about Mythic. Let's get on to the main news. IGN Entertainment, a large US-based corporation which runs media site IGN, has acquired the Gamer Network family of digital media sites. This includes Rock Paper Shotgun, a UK-based PC gaming site, Games Industry Biz, and Dicebreaker, the tabletop gaming site that's a fairly prominent place in the gaming journalism landscape. The acquisition has led to some redundancies across those companies, including editors at the three companies mentioned above. There has been no comment on the situation from Dicebreaker at this time, but we'll bring you updates about that in future casts. Now, media consolidation like this is not great news for good journalism in the industry. I know we've said that the growth of the tabletop industry publisher-wise means that amalgamation, that kind of thing is kind of inevitable, and we've certainly seen a lot of that over the last few years. But in the terms of sort of journalism and voices independent voices that can criticize the industry, those voices need less control, not more. And they need to be able to say what they have to be able to say. So we need good journalism because of issues like Mythic we've just mentioned. Because if we don't, all we have is people who get free games a lot saying that everything's fine. And sometimes it's not.
We do need the independent. We need smaller outlets. I mean, it's obviously great if you have a big name behind you that can protect you as a journalist, but I don't think that we're quite that level here. Someone reporting on some sort of, political thing is probably different than someone reporting on board game or other tabletop news. But yeah, absolutely, we need more independent voices. We don't need just one big name that has lots of brands underneath it.
Indeed.
So, yeah.
But Oliver, some awards news from the world of Board Game Geek.
Yes, Board Game Geek, the online forum for board game hobbyists and the database of board games, has announced the winners of their 18th annual Golden Geek Awards. The awards recognize the best board games for 2023 across 15 categories and are voted on by the site's users. Now, we won't name all the winners here, but let us give you some highlights. Waypoint won in the Best Print and Play category. The juggernaut of an asymmetric, political, economic, card-driven board game that is Hegemony, Lead Your Class to Victory, won in 3 categories. Most Innovative Game, Heavy Game of the Year, and Best Thematic Game. Undaunted Battle of Britain won Best Wargame. Alongside the best games across the various categories, the Golden Geek Awards also selects the best podcast of the year. Now, probably everyone's at the edge of their seats now, but for 2023, that was One Stop Co-op Shop with Beyond Solitaire and Talk Cardboard, the podcast from No Pun Included, coming in as runners-up. Of course, if you want to see a full list of winners and runners-up, please go to the Board Game Geek website. There's a link to the relevant page in our show notes. And the Brainwaves team would like to congratulate all the winners, maybe slightly begrudgingly, but no, definitely congratulations to all the winners. Maybe not the podcast, but yeah, all the winners of the board game categories anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we're never going to win the podcast category. We're way too small.
Come on, where's everyone? Why haven't you voted for us? I mean, we must have been very close. But no, it's nice to see the recognition in the board game industry for sure.
Yeah, I'm meeting up with Rory Muldoon, who's one of the people behind Waypoints at Games Expo, so that's going to be nice to get to see him and have a chat. And I've got a meeting to play or be shown Hegemony as well, which is cool. So that should be interesting.
Hegemony or Hegemony? I never know.
You say potato, I say potato.
It's a piece of a game either way.
I'm genuinely not sure. Yeah. Pronounce it how you wish. But you've played it a bit, Oliver, haven't you?
I have a copy. I backed it when... Was it backed it? I think it wasn't crowdfunding. It's been too long ago now.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
It's one of those games that really... I really wanted to play because I love economic simulation games. And this one is really clever. Plays up to 4 players. If you play with less, you get sort of... Not a bot, sort of a bot playing the other roles. And it's really good. But it took a while to sort of get to the table. It took a while to fully understand the rules. But once we got there, I think everyone really enjoyed it. I just need to play it a few more times before we can actually review it. But yeah, as you said, I'm going to meet up with them as well. They've got the new expansion coming out and stuff. So UKGE is the place to say hello to these people. And yeah, congratulations again to all the winners. There's another award we want to mention that's very noteworthy indeed, Iain.
Yes, if you're a purveyor of Perspex Pyramid prizes, then the Diana Jones Award is the one for you, or at least it used to be, but we'll get to that. The Diana Jones Award has announced the final 4 winners of their Emerging Designer program, which aims to focus on up-and-coming designers, especially those from marginalized communities. Quinn Brander, Taylor Navarro, Clarence Simpson, and Basil Wright are the 4 winners. They will each receive an all-expenses-paid trip to Gen Con as part of a $6,500 prize package. This includes a year voting membership of American tabletop body Gamma, a chance to demo on Gen Con TV, and prototyping credits at the Game Crafter, a company that can produce print-on-demand board and card games that is based in the USA. Sadly, the legendary Perspex Pyramid containing a scrap from the infamous TSR Indiana Jones role-playing game, which was awarded to the winner of the Diana Jones Award since 2001, was lost in the post several years ago. To find out more about the finalists and their work so far, we will provide a link to the winners in the show notes. And as above, we would like to congratulate all the winners of this prestigious award.
Yes, and another very interesting award as well. Again, have a look. So Cardboard Edison and Diana Jones, there's always very interesting games in there.
Yeah, the main Diana Jones Award, if you're not aware of it, it awards excellence in gaming, and that has gone to Gen Con in the past itself. It has gone to like movements in gaming. It has gone to individual game designers and games. It's very wide ranging. It's always interesting to see what they choose and why they choose it. It's a very sort of interesting sort of zeitgeisty kind of award. It gives a little bit of a sort of temperature of the hobby at the time. It's a really interesting one.
Definitely worth taking a closer look.
But mentioning conventions, Oliver, not all are in good stead.
No, there's something else we want to take a closer look at. It's Dice Tower West, a convention happening in Las Vegas from the 5th of March to the 9th in 2025. The convention came under fire recently for posting a promotional tweet about May the 10th being Stay Up All Night night. They asked which game would keep you up all night playing. The controversy came with the image they shared that showed 3 people playing board games in an animated image. Those people had extra fingers and some other telltale signs of the image being made by an AI generator. It's, one of those sort of cartoon-style image, I'd call them. The image was then quickly removed with Dice Tower yet to comment on the issue.
It looked very much like the Essen kind of images that we shared when they had their AI controversy last year, with lots of like rictus grins and like people look like they're forced to play board games and enjoy them. It's really creepy.
It is bizarre, and especially with someone like Dice Tower, similar to Spiel Essen, why go that route? Why not pay someone to actually be creative and create a campaign?
Yeah, it's not like you don't have
something
money.
Like this. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, so really don't understand it, and it's really sad. So maybe Dice Tower will comment. We'll let you know if they do in our updates.
Indeed.
We've got another update, this time people on the move, Iain.
Yes, as reported by ICV2, Funko, an American company best known for licensed vinyl bobblehead figures, has announced that former Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro Gaming president Cynthia Williams is joining them on the 20th of May as their new CEO. Funko has been without a permanent CEO since Brian Moratti left the company last July, with board member Michael Lunsford holding the role of Funko interim CEO in the meantime. Williams ran Wizards of the Coast for a little over 2 years, and her tenure at Hasbro was marked by record sales. However, Williams has also courted controversy, in particular with the handling of the changes to the OGL Open Gaming License for Dungeons & Dragons, as we have previously reported on the cast. The appointment was announced alongside a statement that Funko recorded a $23.7 million loss in its first quarter. Williams is joining Funko amongst tough conditions, but she said she is very hopeful about the company's future.
My extensive experience with the devoted fans of Dungeons & Dragons, Magic the Gathering, and Xbox will be highly beneficial in developing products that continue to appeal to Funko's passionate fans, both core fans and collectors.
Funko is also clearly confident in Williams' ability and says of her appointment,
Cynthia has served in a variety of senior leadership roles, with some of the largest and most well-respected companies in the world. She has a deep understanding of pop culture, entertainment, and fandoms, with a proven background in building consumer brands, developing worldwide strategies, and driving global growth. We are confident Cynthia has the experience, leadership capabilities, and strategic vision to guide Funko into the future.
I mean, I'm sure Cynthia is exactly what Funko is looking for. She seems fairly driven to try and get as much money out of these companies as possible. That is her job. That is why the controversies came around about the OGL and potential charging creators to use the OGL effectively. So yeah, I'm sure exactly what Funko's looking for. So I'm sure she'll fit in well there. That's not a compliment.
No, let's just hope that Funko doesn't have any sort of licenses that they have to change. And Cynthia.
Oh, they've got lots of licenses, but it's basically just to produce bobblehead dolls of Star Wars or whatever. No, nothing gaming related. Not anymore since they sold Prospero Hall anyway.
Not that we're bitter or anything.
No, indeed. But Oliver, now we have to go way over to Japan, where the Game Market website has been hacked.
Yes, the website of Game Market, the organizer of many of Japan's biggest board game events, was hacked last week, and tens of thousands of fraudulent images were posted illegally, overwriting many existing genuine files. The attack took place last week on Thursday, the 15th of May at around 10 a.m. local time, and the organizer reported it on their website the following day. The illegal images have since been deleted, but unfortunately, it was impossible for the company to restore the originals. Game Market sincerely apologizes for the loss and asks everyone to resubmit the original files where possible. The company goes on to say that they are working on strengthening their website's security and assure exhibitors that their applications and other information are not affected by the attack, as these are stored on a separate system. Now, we know that hackers cause all sorts of major problems. So if you can help Game Market and you have any images that got lost, please get in touch with them. We'll have a link to their site in the show notes. Be great to get it back, but it sounds like there's a huge amount of images that got lost, and it's
basically just a sort of giant database of all the games that have been sold in the various events or shown off at the various events that the Game Market organization runs. So potentially huge loss there to sort of gaming history. So do help them out if you can.
Now, moving on to jobs, opportunities, and events, we really only can point you to the Tabletop Jobs Facebook group this time around. There's plenty of jobs going at the moment. I keep watching that, various listings, so have a look there. Obviously, convention season is happening as well, so there'll be lots of offers for demoing and other sort of convention attendance that we can help out on stands. When I say help out on stands, I think there was a recent thing actually I want to mention. This group makes sure that there aren't any offers on there where you get sort of payment in kind by, you're just helping out. You might get a game in return. This is actually all paid jobs, and that group makes sure these are paid jobs. So when you go on there, you're looked after as well. So have a look out on the Tabletop Jobs Facebook group. And there's jobs in the US, obviously quite a few now for the conventions, but in UK and various places around the world. Have a look there. Well, that leaves me to thank all the wonderful patrons that support the cast financially every month and keep the lights going and everything else. There's Kevin Bertram from Ford Circle, James Naylor of Naylor Games, and Sean Newman from the Gamelot team. If you want to become a patron yourself and support the cast, please go to patreon.com/thegiantbrain. There's other ways of supporting the cast as well. Go to giantbrain.co.uk/support-new. So there's various ways on there. And of course, there's still the fan roll discount, fanrolldice.com with a reference. Again, check the show notes. There's links to there. But thanks to everyone who's been supporting the cast and us financially or by other means.
There's a bunch of affiliate links in some of my RPG work as well to Drive Through RPG, which will sort of give us a little cut of that money when you buy something through those links, and we can use that to review more RPGs in the future. So do check out those articles. Thank you.
Now, I think you've got some sort of conspiracy going on, Iain?
Absolutely. We are one for conspiracy theories here at the Giant Brain. Cluedo has been through many iterations. Metallica and Scouts come to mind, and we've covered many other iterations over the years. But the new one puts it into a strange new world, the world of teams. And Cluedo Conspiracy, marketed as a team-based hidden role adult party game version, you're either friends or the conspiracy, all at the tropical Blackadder resort run by Mr. Coral. Friends need to save Mr. Coral by finding out who, what, and where is the murder going to be, classic Cluedo, or by disarming booby traps that conspiracy set to sabotage the friends and help their assigned murder of Mr. Coral. It plays up to 10 players, apparently, and the board has locations such as the Infinity Pool and the Hidden Cove and a storm tracker, as well as a health tracker for Mr. Coral. Now, this reminds me a little bit of... Have you ever played Kill Dr. Lucky, Oliver?
No, I haven't actually.
Kill Dr. Lucky is a game from Cheap Ass Games. Way back in the day, Cheap Ass Games would produce these like £5 to £10 games in like little sort of like postage envelopes.
Right.
With like quite poor card quality, but they produced a lot of these games, and some of them were pretty good.
Okay.
And one of them was called Kill Dr. Lucky, and it was effectively the pre-Cluedo board game where you would try and run around the mystery house and try and kill this old chap called Dr. Lucky.
Okay.
Before all the guests arrived to, like, you know, solve the murder of who killed Dr. Lucky. So it was the pre-Cluedo board game. So I'm getting slight vibes of that.
I think your version, Kill Dr. Lucky, was it? I think sounds a lot more fun than Cluedo Conspiracy. I think I'm trying a bit too hard. Is it because of the various traitor games that have been on TV, maybe?
I'm guessing that, yeah. And a little bit of that sort of like, we're getting a little bit of that crossover between like sort of the hobby gaming market and like the sort of more mainstream gaming market, or family game market, where you're seeing a little bit more of that sort of family party game, traitor element kind of stuff. That kind of game crossing over a little bit. So yeah, I'd imagine it's trying to get a bit of that pie.
Doesn't surprise me.
Anyway, thanks very much for listening, folks. If you like what you've listened to, then the best way to help us out is to share the podcast and drop us a review and rating on your podcast host of choice. Spotify and Apple Podcasts is particularly helpful. Google Podcast doesn't exist anymore. It's just YouTube. You can rate us on there. We are on there. I upload it there. So do go and follow us on YouTube if that is your preferred method of listening to us. You can also follow Oliver at his blog, tabletopgamesblog.com. The Giant Brain has got a Discord, as does Oliver. You're welcome to join either of those. There'll be invites in the show notes. The Giant Brain is on Blue Sky these days. We're not on Twitter anymore. Our Blue Sky profile is just giantbrain.co.uk, just like the website. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook by just searching The Giant Brain. And if you'd like to email us about anything in the show, any comments on any of the stories we have covered, it's giantbrainuk@gmail.com. And if you'd like to talk to us about any stories we should cover, or anything you'd like to share anonymously, your anonymity is guaranteed by us. We'll see you in a couple of weeks' time. Oliver and I are off to UK Games Expo next week, and we'll look forward to seeing some of you there.
See you there. If you're there, say hello. Otherwise, well, hear you in a couple of weeks.
All the best, folks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.